Hi, I'm Tom at Ledgemere. This is just a short video about what 10 months of YouTube has taught me. And I had a lot of time today to think about that. And the first thing is, why did I even bother to make a YouTube channel? Well, it was something that I had on my mind in 2019. I had all the kids here. My wife Miranda and I, we have a blended family of 6 children plus us, so 8. And since I retired from the military in 2017, it's been a full-time job for me to not only run the farm, but be a full-time father. And the experience has been very rewarding. And I thought maybe I could chronicle a lot of this, and someday maybe my kids would want that. So that was the original intent, was that I would chronicle my life here on the farm, and it would be something my kids could have as like a memory later on. As time went on, it took me a little bit to get around to making a YouTube channel because number one, I didn't know how to do it, and getting started was a little bit intimidating. It was a little bit intimidating. When we finally got set up, we started and we figured out what equipment we needed, basic equipment to start, which was pretty much an external microphone and a decent camera, which your smartphone, if you have a decent smartphone, is pretty good. One of the first things you realize when you have a YouTube channel is that talking to yourself is not natural. I mean, we all have a moment when we are mad at ourselves. We might mutter under our breath, or we're doing something and we're thinking, and we're kind of talking out loud. But when you're actually talking to yourself in a room, looking at a camera and just expressing your thoughts, sometimes you give yourself the deer in the headlights look, and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, and then trying to like whatever you're doing, and then trying to convey it to a camera at the same time. There's a lot of times there's a loss in translation there because your brain's trying to not only focus on what you're doing, but be a showman of sorts, so that you're expressing what you're doing, explaining it, and then that your sound quality is super important because people will be done in 5 seconds if your sound stinks. And I know that firsthand. It's just a learning process. You don't mean to. Sometimes you have background noise like cowbells or machinery or a heater or whatever that just kind of drowns you out. And it's not a pleasant viewing experience for the person watching. And it ended up being that what I wanted to do with this channel was, one, chronicle daily life on the farm for my kids to have, and then two, I wanted to provide some entertainment and a little bit of education for my viewers, which primarily were my friends and family. And I'm not much of a showman. I don't think I've ever really been a showman. I'm not. I mean, I can be funny, but it's but I'm not a comedian, so I just can't stand up and just rattle off funny things. So I'm not that kind of a showman. Nobody wants to hear me sing, so that's not going to work. In the military, I did electronics. We worked on the flight line. We put in navigation, weather, communication systems. And when I was growing up, we had a farm. My dad really didn't like mechanic work. He liked to build furniture. And so the amount of farming that we had right at home was just a few cows and maybe a couple pigs and some chickens. My sister had a dairy farm, and I was over there a lot growing up, feeding calves. That was my favorite thing to do, was to feed the bossies, as we called them. So I would mix the milk and go down the line and feed all the babies. And then we had the weanlings that I would give grain and hay to. And they initially they had it was like a horseshoe shaped setup with the cows, and it was a pipeline, so they would go around cow to cow to cow and milk them. And there was a conveyor, like a gutter cleaner system they called it. It was a PATS, and we would pull the manure back into the gutter, and then they would turn the switch on, and it would pull the manure out back into a manure spreader or a pile. As time wore on and I was growing up, the dairy kind of went away, and I wasn't paying attention to a lot of the details. It was around me, but I was a kid. I was just more interested in kid things. So when I retired, even though farming was in my blood, I didn't really know all the things that I should know. And so uh, when I do things on camera, sometimes I've only known it from memory, not really doing it. Like I was around it and I saw it, but that doesn't mean I know what I'm doing. And tractors, I've always loved tractors ever since I was a kid, and I thought that would be a good place to start. So my dad, we had gardens growing up, so I knew I would love to do videos on gardening, tractors, animals, and you know, just my general life on the farm. And the thing is about farming is it's not sensational generally, and there's just not a lot of drama. There's not a lot of things that are gonna happen that are gonna attract viewers. People who watch my channel generally are people in the same boat. They have small farms, they like tractors, they like cows, they probably have kids around, and so they can relate to a lot of the things that I'm doing. But I'm not a sensationalist. I don't have a lot of drama. I was in 2 wars, and I've had all the drama I need in my life. So I'm not going to bring that here, and I'm definitely not going to bring it to my YouTube channel. I mean, if I wanted to get drama, I could talk about politics, I could talk about religion, I could talk about whether you should vaccinate or not vaccinate. All these things would bring tons of views, tons of interaction, but it's not the interaction that I want. I've seen the way people are about their beliefs, and that's fine. You believe whatever you want, but I don't want to be in the middle of it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it either way. I promise you that there's nothing that somebody gets on YouTube and says that's going to change somebody's mind. Or somebody gets on Facebook and they have this opinion about one thing or the other, and nobody is going to read that or watch that and say, "Oh, you know what? I think I'm going to change my mind." Nobody does that. Everybody has their own mind and their own thought process, and that's great. That's the way it should be. I mean, everybody's a human being. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, and Dad always said, "Don't talk about politics and religion," and let's caveat to that, let's not talk about whether you should vaccinate or not vaccinate, because for the love of God, I don't want to hear any more about it. But drama, YouTube wants drama. They want sensationalize. Every video you make kind of needs to trump the last video that you made. And so if you get 1,000 views on this video, you want 2,000 views on the next one. And trying to get people to view your channel, a lot of times I'll post my videos on some social media, and I hate doing it. I did it for a while, until recently, and that was just to kind of get some exposure, but I don't know that that's how I want to continue down the road. I just want people to come to me because they see something and they're interested. I don't want to toot my own horn anymore. It's not me. I don't like it. I'm a pretty much go with the flow person, and like I said, I really don't want drama. So to sensationalize, there's clickbait. I could say, "Oh, we got a camel on the farm," and then people will watch it, and then they'll be mad because there's no camel. There's all kinds of things that people do that'll get the click, but then they watch the video for 5 seconds and they're gone. I don't want that. And when you to do YouTube, I carry the camera with me all day, and I take videos of things that I think are interesting, and then I might have 6 or 7 hours of raw video that I'll condense into like 8 or 20 minutes. And that could take me a couple hours sometimes. I actually like doing the editing. It's kind of fun to put music and then add stuff, but there's a lot of time involved for an 8-minute video or a 12-minute video or a 20-minute video. And there's so many good people out there, and I get so much great feedback. It really, the great feedback I get, my wife says it doesn't matter what medium you use, like whether whatever group or anything, 10% of that population is always going to be a naysayer. And that's pretty much true. So 10% of my viewers will say, "Oh, you should have done this and you didn't do that right," and blah blah blah. And okay, sorry. if there's something you think is constructive criticism, I sure want to hear it. I really do, because number one, I want to be safe. Number two, I want to do it the right way, and I sure as heck don't want to teach you something wrong. So I really want to know if I'm doing something incorrectly. When people watch YouTube, there's all this data that you look at, and so part of it is how many people saw the video that YouTube presented up and they liked it enough to click on it and watch it. And so if enough people click on it and watch it, then YouTube puts it out to more people, and that's impressions, they call it. So you put all these impressions out, and then like I call it a click-through rate, the amount of people, 2 or 3 or 10% of the people that YouTube puts it up to will click on it and watch it. And then a certain amount of those people will watch it for a period of time, and generally my videos people watch between 40 and 60%, which I don't know if that's average, I don't know if that's good, I don't know if that's bad, I'm just telling you that's generally what I see. So it doesn't matter if I have a 4-minute video or a 20-minute video, people watch about half of it. It's hard because I want to put good stuff throughout the whole video, and a lot of times people miss the key point at the back. And I talked to my wife about this too, and there's two things about people who watch YouTube video. They want to be entertained or they want to learn something. I try to do both to the best of my ability, and I'm getting better. I don't care who you are. Your first videos suck, and I know mine sucked. My quality was bad, my video was bad, everything was bad, but it was because I wasn't used to it, and that's true with everybody. But people will watch a video, and supposedly they watch an amount of it, and then they get the gist of it, and they stop watching. And I am wondering about how you get the gist of something if it's not the same, if it's an entertainment kind of thing where you're just kind of showing people around. How do you get the gist? I don't know. It doesn't matter. But 10 months I've been doing this, and I vowed I was going to do it for 12 and see where I was at. I've almost got 700 subscribers, which I think is fantastic. I know a lot of people don't get that, and so I'm very grateful for the amount of you who have said, yeah, I think you're good enough to, I'm going to be a subscriber and watch your videos. A lot of the data that I see, I don't understand. I don't understand the click-through rate, why people aren't interested. And my thumbnail's probably not good enough, or my title's not good enough. They said you can have the best video content in the world, but if your thumbnail and your title isn't good enough, people won't click on it. And then only a certain amount of people will watch the whole video. I know a lot of my friends and family are trying to do me a favor, so they'll watch a few seconds of it, or a portion of it, stop watching, click like, and think they're doing me a favor, and I do appreciate them watching it, but it doesn't help the algorithms any by doing that. I don't want to be a sensationalist. I don't want drama. All I want to do is try to entertain a little bit, try to teach a little bit, and chronicle my life experience so that my kids have it. I don't know that I can expect or ask for any more than that. Some people just make it big on YouTube. There's a couple of YouTube channels that I really enjoy. They're both out in Washington State, and they put out maybe 4 videos a year now. And that could be a possibility for me. I might not have 2 or 3 a week. It might just be a few, maybe an extra one here and there. But I'm just kind of mulling everything over, wondering if continuing YouTube is worth the effort. If people want to see what I have, if they're interested. But comment down below. Let me know what you think. I do really appreciate all of you who have opted and decided to take time out of your schedule to watch me and give me positive feedback. I really appreciate all that. That does mean a lot, and so I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Winter's coming. There's not a lot of fun stuff to do outside that's super entertaining. It's, farm life after the snow comes. It's pretty much the same thing every day. You go out and feed the animals. You clean the animals. That's about it. And it's not sensational. It's hard to make that really interesting. You can only go out and watch me feed cows so many times or collect eggs so many times, shovel the driveway. It's not that interesting. I do have some historical stuff that I want to document about the town before I lose the season, because winter's coming and I want to catch some more of the foliage while it's here. I've got a lot on my plate with my brother, and now my uncle's got COVID, and he went to Maine Med today, and he's on a ventilator. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. I kind of want to spend as much time with my family as I possibly can while I have them, and I guess we'll just see how everything turns out. If you enjoy these videos and you want to see more, I want to hear it. If if you don't, that's fine too. But like I said, I just can't thank you enough for taking the time out to watch these videos. It means a lot. And I have a few more videos in the queue for this fall that I've already got the footage for, so regardless, those will come out anyway today. But that's really all I have for today. Thank you for watching. I really mean that. And like I said, I've got more videos in the queue, so this is definitely not the last video. But we'll just see how everything turns out. We'll talk to you next time. Take care.